Hey folks, today is Friday, February. Whoa, no, it's June. Jeez. Oh, hey folks, today is June 27th, 2025. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino. We're here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. Got a big list of stuff, a lot of game announcements, gameplay trailers, and stuff like that. So let's just jump in. The first thing is a game announcement that dropped not too long before recording this. It seems like it's catching people's eyes. Check this out. This is called Hellmart, and the concept is really interesting. It's like a horror first-person game where it looks like you're trapped in a kind of like northern winter 24/7 convenience store, and you're being chased around by like a gross, horrific clown monster. This seems really cool. As of right now, I will say I don't really know anything about the developer, publisher, and the video, the trailer that they dropped to me looks like it's maybe rendered in game, but like not actual gameplay. I don't know what to make of it yet. I'm still taking it with a grain of salt because I've been fooled by projects like this before, but at the very least, the horror concept seems interesting. The horror elements that the trailer shows, like weird characters and NPCs, grotesque monsters, I'm into that. I like horror, so I'm willing to keep an eye on this one. I did get some information from the developer. They actually emailed me. That's right, I got some, Jake is prepared for once. So according to them, it seems like the game is structured into three, right? Like it's you managing this 24/7 convenience store during the day, dealing with normal stuff, working the register, stocking shelves, stuff like that. Then towards the end of the day, you start to prepare for stuff. You get supplies, you start to close up the store, and then at night, you apparently have to deal with scary stuff and late night customers. The trailer did highlight some like weird looking NPCs. Some guy they showed doing something questionable that I don't want to say without getting demonetized. But what the information, like the info doc that the developers gave me, it does say that a lot of the game seems to be around being tricked by customers, with some customers coming in and you have to essentially decide who to let in and who to trust, because it could be a normal person that just wants to buy some chips, or it could be like a freaky monster. I think it could be interesting. As of right now, it does seem like it's coming from a small independent studio, so we're just kind of to wait and see. But, you know, I just wanted to get some info out there because I did see this trailer going kind of viral, so yeah, there you go. Next up, we're diving into something a little bit more serious. Stop killing games. Let's talk about this. When this first dropped a while back, when this initiative dropped, I did mention it on the Friday show, but since then it has continued to chug along. It's been in the news recently because it seems like the initiative has kind of stagnated a little bit. Let's talk about this. So Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games that they have sold to customers. The idea that so many games, and not just like always online, like live service type games, but so many games have been like shut down, delisted, rendered like obsolete, like almost like some games made with a planned obsolescence that is essentially anti-consumer. So this act is aiming to put a stop to that, and at least proposing to both UK and EU legislators to look into it and possibly do something about it. There's been some conversation about this online recently about like whether or not it's specific enough, and is it going to actually hamper game developers? I think ultimately that this is broad, and I think it is important because at the very least, you can argue the semantics and the specificity of it. What it can do is raise awareness for lawmakers that otherwise have, they're not arguing about the differences or like nuances with this. They just don't know what any of this is. And I think ultimately this can help prevent some anti-consumer practices if lawmakers get a good whiff of it. But like I said at the start of the story, it seems like this is kind of stagnated. Thankfully, it's been in the conversation again recently, thanks to big creators like Charlie, Moist Critical. Philip DeFranco did a great video on it yesterday as well. So the signatures for this, for specifically the UK, they are not at what they need to be, and the European not where they need to be, and the EU one has 586,000 signatures right now. It's over halfway there, 58%, but this has been going on for a while, and I think a lot of big creators have raised awareness for this, but it's still just not where it needs to be. I don't know if it's because of like the debate online with some of this recently, or the reality is that this isn't sexy to us. Gaming nerds like pay attention to the news. It's important, it's interesting, but to the average gaming consumer, they just, I don't know, they just don't care. It's not a sexy, exciting story. It has a little bit of explanation behind it, and some people don't even realize what the problem is. So all I can say is like, yes, here I am putting it out here once again. At the very least, if it can get past this point, it can raise some interesting awareness to lawmakers in terms of how to keep games around for the long term. Not even just from like a DRM or like online thing, but really game preservation at the end of the day is the most important thing. So I would say at the very least, if you have casual gaming friends, it's probably an awkward conversation, but it's to me, these numbers are so low despite, you know, massive YouTubers like with huge audiences like Moist Critical talking about this. The fact that it still hasn't hit that level to me just says mainstream gamers, the Fortnite and Call of Duty gamers, like they need to know what's up with this too. So if you know any casual gamers in your life and you can kind of awkwardly broach the subject, maybe bring it up with them. Spread it to your friends who are either in the UK or the EU, and hope for the best. Also, I want to say, like, I did talk about this in a video probably quite some time ago now, but at this point you might be seeing it and be like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually, and click and sign up. But like at this point, we're at the point where the deadline is getting pretty close. So now is the time. If you were like, oh yeah, I was gonna click that and sign up for that, or like, you know, now you should probably do it. Their website's really good. I'll link it in the description down below. I'm trying to keep this short and concise just for the sake of people's attention spans and stuff like that. But again, you should definitely read into it. Check it out. Linked in the description down below. Another big thing in the news this week, interestingly enough, is Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds, for me, kind of came and went. It dropped. I played the hell out of it. I had some issues with it, but that was about it. Now it seems like at this point, the community has kind of had enough of it, with the Steam version hitting negative. Oh shit, in fact, overwhelmingly negative. And that's with Windows Central reporting that the game has sold over 10 million copies, but it seems like people are just not satisfied with this one from a variety of reasons when you scroll through the reviews. Like there's technical issues and shit with the PC version still, which is really not good. Capcom, come on, sometimes Capcom shits the bed with this. But also it seems like people just not really satisfied with the endgame content and just a streamlining of systems. Capcom did hold an event yesterday that we'll talk about in a little bit, but they did show some new content coming to Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't know if that's going to be enough for people, especially because I'm not in deep with the endgame stuff. I can't judge for myself, but there were some new announcements. But even that aside, I think this is an interesting conversation of like, yes, the game sold a ton, but like with hardcore fans, did it paring down and streamlining its systems and making things easier kind of ruin the experience, or did it at least kind of take away some of that Monster Hunter impact, that addiction? Because I noted that in my before you buy when I did that video. I found the game pretty easy, and I found some of the elements stripped out that I had learned to love Monster Hunter for. So it just resulted in a simpler game. I didn't think a bad game, but certainly not the best Monster Hunter. But at this point, that's where it is, overwhelmingly negative on Steam. Can they turn it around? We'll have to just wait and see. But speaking of Capcom and that event they held, it's worth mentioning that we got a real genuine look now at Resident Evil 9 or Resident Evil Requiem. We got a kind of developer diary type thing with the developers talking about their approach to the game and highlighting some gameplay, which shows that the game you're able to switch between first and third-person modes. This gameplay sequence that you're seeing here is the one that I kind of detailed in this video, I believe, a couple of weeks back, and also a video on my separate channel. I had seen the gameplay behind the scenes at Summer Game Fest and was impressed, but they seemingly are doubling down on it being a game about Grace Ashcroft, a character that has ties to legacy Resident Evil stuff, but apparently they're going for someone who is actually scared and doesn't have combat experience. They've said that before. They kind of said that about Ethan Winters, but I don't know. Here, it seems like they're really going for somebody that's scared of stuff to really make it a true horror game. And they're leaning into the horror stuff that they really did a great job with Resident Evil 7 specifically. And I think that's good. But as an old school fan, I was hoping to see more, and it felt to me like there was more to this game, like they weren't showing their full hand. But, the developers in this video did confirm that they had considered Leon as the main protagonist, but they decided against it because they wanted to make a horror game. And their reasoning, I get it, I respect it. They were like, Leon's too cool at this point. Leon's too badass that he wouldn't really be able to react to anything in a horror game. I get it. Okay, but still, I would like Leon. Maybe he'll show up some way or another. I have heard so many things about this game from people behind the scenes. I don't know what to think anymore. I still think that there's a lot more that needs to be revealed with this one, but at the very least, if you wanted to see a little gameplay here, there it is. Anyway, that wraps up my Resident Evil nerd corner for today. Next up, just a bunch of stuff to talk about this week in terms of things you may have missed, like gameplay. Also, this week, Death Stranding 2 released. I did the review, the before you buy video for it. If you want to check that out, if you haven't seen it already, linked in the description down below. The long and short of it is essentially, if you didn't like Death Stranding 1, if you thought it was boring or a walking simulator, I don't know if this game is for you, and that's okay. But I think if you like Death Stranding 1, like I did, I personally found Death Stranding 2 an improvement in a lot of ways, and I think I ultimately am gonna end up liking this one better, like, years down the line. I think the story is paced in a way better fashion. It's drip fed to you in a more intriguing way throughout the game. The gameplay elements are way improved. It's still very much about trudging around and delivery stuff, but it feels a lot more like endgame Death Stranding 1 more immediately in Death Stranding 2. So you're using a lot more cool tech and stuff to your advantage early on. The combat is way more engaging, and it's actually good now. There's some stealth you can do. Like, it's just a little bit more well thought out in those regards. And yeah, I'm digging it. Of course, my bias is that I am a Hideo Kojima fan. Death Stranding isn't like my favorite thing in the world. I will always be a Metal Gear Solid diehard, but at the very least, I think this is a cool game. So check out the before you buy if you haven't seen it already, but also just let me know what you think of the game if you jumped in. Also, if you're looking for something to watch, I gotta recommend our buddy SkillUp's new video on Expedition 33. This is like a feature-length documentary. It's about one of my favorite games, so I loved it, and there is some nuggets of good information here. So check it out and tell him I sent you, because I think that might annoy him. Also, in terms of releases this week, the Dying Light Retouched update. This is essentially a big update to the original Dying Light for like technical and audio improvements and little tweaks here and there. They said it's not a complete overhaul or remaster, but it's pretty cool that they're doing this, and I think it's a good excuse to go back into Dying Light, which I still think is really, really great. Dying Light 2 was all right, but Dying Light 1 was really just lightning in a bottle. So to replay this before the new one, Dying Light the Beast, I think that's a good opportunity, but that's just me. Also, in terms of like a bunch of new gameplay trailers and stuff dropping this week, there's a bunch. The first, I was very excited to see the Blood of Dawnwalker. This is that vampire open world RPG by former people who worked on The Witcher. I have been very excited about this one. I love vampires. I love The Witcher. I love the trailers. This gameplay to me looks a little rough. Honestly, I don't want to judge it completely yet, but this gameplay didn't wow me. I found it feeling a little dull, but I'm hoping that they can really still take the vampire concepts and run with them. The game is still very much in development, but if you were curious to see at least what they're cooking, that's linked in the description down below with everything else I talk about. We also got a gameplay trailer for Little Nightmares 3, which I am very excited. It looks great, and we know now it's releasing in October. In my opinion, obviously, the best time of year for a spooky game like this. Oh, IGN also got some exclusive gameplay for Terminator No Fate. This game, to me, I've said this before, it's one of my most anticipated. It's a dream come true for a 90s kid. Like, I dreamed of a Terminator game like this as a kid. This new gameplay looks incredible, heavily inspired by Metal Slug and a couple other things, but like doing its own thing. Seems like there's a lot of variety, and one minute you're playing as Sarah Connor blasting stuff, you're Arnold, then you're John Connor in the future. I am on board, man. Sorry, this episode has been a lot of me like geeking out on stuff. I can't help it. Also, we got new gameplay for Borderlands 4. There's a bunch of new gameplay out for it. Also, I think this dropped at the tail end of last week, but a bunch of hands-on previews. Some press and influencers and media and stuff like that got to check out the game and give some first impressions. So in case you missed that, that's out there for you. Also, Pragmata, the Capcom shooter game, got a nice new trailer highlighting some story elements and some gameplay. I played this at Summer Game Fest just for a little bit, like a work in progress version, and I dug it. I think it's pretty unique. Some elements of it, like the main character, are a little generic, but I think there could potentially be something weird and special there for fans of like Dead Space and also quirky Capcom sci-fi. Also, last but certainly not least, I just wanted to point out, Before You Buy, the series of videos we do, has officially turned 10 years old. Yeah, for real. I uploaded the first Before You Buy on June 24th, 2015. about Arkham Knight. It's crazy that we've come this long. I started it. For the most part, I did all of them in the early days. But now, of course, it's grown beyond me. We have Eric and Falcon working on Before We Buys, and they do an incredible job. And I'm just happy to be here. Thank you guys for watching them. 10 years, that's insane. I have touched so many games. I am proud of seeing so many games and talking about so many games. And I'm just glad you guys were along for the ride. I made a little bit more of a personal video, kind of like looking back on it, reflecting a little bit on my channel. That'll be linked in the description down below if you want to check that out. But yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody, and the team here who works on them. But that's it. Onward and upward. We're not stopping. But that's everything this week. That's all the news to get you caught up. Of course, let me know what you think about the Resident Evil 9 Requiem gameplay. That weird game, Hellmart. Do you think that's something? Do you think it's vaporware? Where are you at with that? What are you playing this weekend? Is it Death Stranding 2? Is it something newer or is it something older? Let us know in the pinned comment in this video. Let us know, of course, what you think about Monster Hunter Wilds and all the issues there. Anything at all, gaming news, hit us up down there. We'd love to talk to you. Things get a little crazy sometimes, so if you want to yell at me directly, you can find me on social media at Jake Baldino, my other YouTube channel, Jake Baldino. Thank you. But that's it. All I ask of you now is to have a great weekend. Be safe. I'm Jake Baldino. Pizza's on me. See ya.